We all know the story of the literary classic The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
But was The Wonderful Wizard of Oz solely a children's story, or did Frank Baum write it as a parallel to the populism movement of the 1890s?
What do you think?
In 1893, what you have to know is that farmers and miners helped form a free silver movement. And they were applying pressure to Congress. They were all pro-silver because they wanted to drive up inflationary rates. Why? For the same reason that our Fed is doing it now, to pay off their debts. They wanted to pay their land off cheaply and get cheaper loans. And instead of working within the system, they tried to get Congress to go in and intervene. At first, they rejected them. But then Congress was bought off, and Congress helped. Congress caved and provided a solution to the problem. And they mandated that the U.S. buy millions of ounces of silver. Well, no one knew it at the time, but The Wizard of Oz, which was written in 1900, was written based, according to some, on this silver crash and also subsequent economic crisis.
Dorothy represents the average American. She is kind and innocent, just like every man and woman in America. Dorothy resides in Kansas, which was the site of populism's most popular and radical sentiments. The cyclone which carried Dorothy through the land of Oz is a parallel to the populist whirlwind that occurred in the early 1890s.
Dorothy's beloved pet dog, Toto, symbolizes the Populist Party's most active members, the prohibitionists who are also called teetotalers. Toto faithfully follows Dorothy, just as prohibitionists loyally followed populist leaders.
The Good Witch of the North, who first greets Dorothy and Toto upon their arrival in the land of Oz, represents Northern support for populist candidate William Jennings Bryan during the presidential election of 1896 and 1900.
The brainless scarecrow represents naive Western farmers. Although they lacked an understanding of industrialized cities and education, they were able to fathom why the monetary system needed to be changed and why they lost their farms to banks.
The Tin Woodman symbolizes Eastern industrial workers who have been dehumanized by the introduction of machinery and novel technology. The Tin Woodman was bereft of a heart, signifying the dehumanization of industrial workers.
The Cowardly Lion represents William Jennings Bryan himself. Bryan was renowned as a roaring orator. As such, he and the Populist Party were often portrayed as lions by the press. Bryan was lauded by his supporters, but his adversaries viewed him as cowardly due to his opposition to the war with Spain in 1898 and the annexation of the Philippines.
The Wicked Witch of the West symbolizes the evil Western forces of the United States, or the drought of the late 19th century. She may represent John D. Rockefeller, a Grover Cleveland banker. Her demise by water represents the end of the drought, or liquidity saving America from the depression of the 1890s.
Glinda, the Good Witch of the South, represents American Southerners. Southerners strongly supported Bryan during his presidential campaign.
The Wicked Witch of the East symbolizes the evil Eastern forces of the United States. More specifically, she represents Wall Street bankers of New York, who were led by the renowned J.P. Morgan. On the other hand, she symbolizes big industries of the East. The Tin Woodman was cursed by the Wicked Witch of the East, just as large businesses oppressed their employees.
The Wizard of Oz himself can represent any politician or president of the Gilded Age. The Gilded Age was a time period during which numerous fortuitous discoveries and advancements, such as in the steel and oil businesses, were made, resulting in the growth of the national economy. During the Gilded Age, many men envisioned themselves as the next Andrew Carnegie. The wizard may be represented by all politicians and presidents in that they could be anything that appealed to the people. They rarely took a clear side on any issues.
Dorothy's shoes, although represented as ruby red slippers in the film, they were originally silver. Dorothy's silver shoes, given to her by the Good Witch of the North, symbolized the free silver movement of the Populist Party. Bryan and Populists supported the free silver movement in order to appeal to miners and to increase the flow of money within the economy.
Emerald City represents Washington, D.C. It is the center where everything functions and is the political center of the country. Politicians had to take the Yellow Brick Road or the Gold Way, supporting the gold standard in order to reach Washington, D.C., which is represented as Emerald City. Additionally, Frank Baum based Emerald City on Chicago, which is then known as the White City.
The Yellow Brick Road represents the gold standard and the way to reach Emerald City in the land of Oz. To further add, the land of Oz may relate to the abbreviation for ounce. The disputed monetary policy at the time called for gold and silver. Those are measured in ounces.
A reenactment from Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Hi, I'm Dorothy.
Hi, I'm the Tin Woodman. I can't move right now because I'm rusted.
Why are you rusted?
The Wicked Witch of the East cursed me.
She cursed you. Here, let me help you. I've got some oil. Does that feel better?
Oh, thank you. I can move now.
That's great. I'm on my way to see the wizard in Emerald City over there.
Really? I've always wanted to see the wizard. I want to ask him for a heart.
I need to ask him if he can help me get back to Kansas. I really miss my family.
Let's take the road yellow bricks to
This
Emerald
one?
City. Yes.
Let's go.
Overall, Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is an allegory for the monetary conflicts regarding gold and silver during the late 19th century.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is explicitly related to the populist movement.